Good afternoon. My name is Faith Spencer, and today I want to share a few thoughts on Jamaica Kincaid. Jamaica Kincaid is a Caribbean American author. She was born on May 25th, 1949, originally named Elaine Potter Richardson. Kincaid moved from her native Antigua to New York City at 16. In 1973, she changed her name to Jamaica Kincaid. Now, she lives in Bennington, Vermont, and is a professor of African and African American Studies in residence at Harvard University. Her life story is really important because it provides a backdrop to many of her works. Themes about her life in Antigua, moving to the big city, and understanding womanhood are central to her work, but we'll get into that a little later. This is a list of the books that she's written. A Small Place, Annie John, Lucy, The Autobiography of My Mother, At the Bottom of the River, See Now Then, My Brother, Mr. Potter, Talk Stories, My Garden Book, Among Flowers, Party a Mystery, Annie, Gwen, Lily, Pam, and Tulip, My Favorite Tool, Poetics of Place, Tide, and an untitled novel on early life in New York. In addition to being a novelist, she is also an essayist. So while this is a list of her books, this isn't at all her complete body of work. So she's a very prolific writer, so we don't really have time to discuss every single book she's written, but there are a few that I did want to highlight. And one of those is A Small Place. A Small Place discusses Kincaid's native Antigua. She discusses both the natural beauty of the island as well as the widespread poverty and corruption. One way she does this is when she contrasts the mansions gained through crime and corruption with a library that was broken down. She also details the effect of British colonialism on the island and its people. Many of the people had adopted some of the Eurocentric views, even though they might not have been flattering to them as people of color or as women. She examines Antigua's present and evaluates the perceived progress of the country, and the piece serves as a portrait contrasting the beauty of the island and the various instances of ugliness present on the island. So those versions of ugliness can include the poverty and corruption, as we talked about earlier, but also colonialism, racism, and misogyny. Another book of hers is Annie John. This story also takes place in Antigua. The main character, Annie John, lives with her parents. The story chronicles her life from 10 years old to 16 years old. Annie John is a coming-of-age story discussing poverty, depression, and transitioning into adulthood. This book is strongly biographical. Antigua, womanhood, young adulthood, and animosity between mother and child is prevalent in this story as in others. Another book I wanted to discuss is Lucy. Lucy is considered a partially autobiographical work, considering Lucy's similarities to Kincaid. Her protagonist, Lucy, leaves Antigua at 19 years old. She experiences homesickness but maintains animosity towards her mother. The story has themes of immigration, maternal strife, and transitioning to adulthood. So that's the recurring theme that we're seeing in her work. This is a list of her many, many accomplishments. I did want to take the time to highlight a few, namely 1985, which she was the finalist for the International Ritz Pears Hemingway Award for Annie John, as well as 1997, where she was both shortlisted for the Penn Faulkner Award for Fiction for The Autobiography of My Mother, and 1997, where she was also awarded the Anisfield Wolf Book Award for The Autobiography of My Mother. This is a continued list of her accomplishments, her many, many accomplishments. And I would like to emphasize here the span of her career. She's been awarded as recently as 2017. So she's in no way stopped writing or retired. She has many essays out now. namely about gardening as of late. These are a few of her many lasting implications for literature. The first one is that she amplified the stories of immigrants. That is a theme, whether it's the move from Antigua to New York or her transition emotionally, mentally, etc., into American life and big city life, which was different from the more rural and impoverished Antigua. She also discussed the holistic impact of British colonialism, especially on women. I say holistic here because many of the ideas were internalized when it comes to women, like we see in Girl, the poem we read, in which the mother was shaming her daughter for perceived sexual promiscuity. So there was a lot of adopting English views of a woman's place in society. She continued in the transition of drawing from personal experience to tell stories. Much of her work is autobiographical, and she draws a lot from her experiences both in Antigua and in the United States. And finally, she evaluated the intersections of race, nationality, and gender in her work. She is a Black woman, but she is also Caribbean, and she is also working in her body of work to incorporate all that and understand the gravity and what that really means. So this is a list of the various websites that I went to gather this information. Thank you for listening.